Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to the Man Cave on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. Sky over here with two of my Georgia buds. It is Cameron and
Cool.
Mason.
Hello,
What's going
hello.
on?
Yeah. All right. So we got we got a really good man cave for you guys today because especially these days, there's a lot about testifying and making sure testify about what the Lord has done in your life. And we were talking just before we started this recording, and they were telling me of what they are doing on campus to evangelize right now, and it's really crazy how this is the hardest year, and yet the theme from January was to evangelize, right? It's like the
Yeah.
last thing on our minds, but I was really inspired too. So, let's both of you guys are in the same region now. Let's talk about what is going on in Georgia when it comes to ministry.
Yeah. I'm so excited to share because it's a new chapter that's unfolding here in Georgia. Since Aaron's come here and Mason's come here, us guys, we've really bonded together and set out to missionize and to evangelize. I like your comment about like 2023 is one of the most difficult years to evangelize in some ways, but it's all about perspective. It's about how do we think about this? Because actually, it seems to me, this is a little bit of a tangent, but it's very related. It's actually a little bit easier to evangelize ever since the
Wow, you're
word came
really
out earlier
sticking
this
it to
year.
people
Like,
who are
oh,
struggling, huh?
oh no, not that,
I'm
not
like,
that.
this
There
is
was a
easy,
different thing that
guys.
was
What's wrong with the
there,
rest
there
of
was
you in the world?
yeah, of course. I
Nerds.
mean, if you're not evangelizing, what are you doing?
I know. You should be out of Providence right now. Get out. Get
Get in the bag.
out.
Go. Go. Be gone.
Leave.
Yeah. Okay, so why is
Yeah,
it
but
easier then? What that's an interesting comment.
yeah, because we get to pray in Jesus's name. It's all about Jesus. What did Jesus do? How is Jesus making this history?
Mm,
And actually, for like everybody that I speak to, uh, when you introduce the Bible study centering on Jesus, they're all about it. They're like, "Oh, sign me up. I want to know more. Tell
mm,
me more about Jesus." So, I think that helps me to craft a better and more compelling message to new people
mm.
versus different methods I tried in the past. So I think that was a very it helped a lot. It changed the flow and that style.
I gotta okay
But also,
before you
just
go
to test.
further, before you go
Yeah.
further, that's a very interesting point because like I want to ask you guys, did we not focus enough on Jesus in the past? Like, is this something that's only a now direction, or is it something that we kind of missed in the past? What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Mm,
I think
I
for
think it
myself,
might
I
have been
mean,
something that,
oh sorry, go ahead, Mason.
for sure. I think it's something that we might have overlooked, that we might not have paid so much attention to, albeit
Mm,
there was a lot of things in the word that was coming out that was saying how we should, Son to him is, like the representation of the Holy Son on the earth and all of these types of things as well. But it's it's also notable like how at major events and stuff like when there were big gatherings and such and Jesus or someone was speaking about like what the spiritual atmosphere and situation was, and they'll be like, oh yeah, Moses is here, Jesus is here, and they're doing this and da 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 da, and they're thankful and all these things. And yeah, I just think that we overlook Jesus and we're probably not paying as much attention to him uh, because of we are focused on either perhaps Sansinim or the Holy Son, and we were like, oh, Jesus was the former time period. Jesus
mm,
was the history of sons in the New Testament. Sansinim is teaching us about the history as it unfolds now. He's leading the history now.
mm.
But Yeah, I mean, Jesus was teaching Sunsanim the whole time when he was going through the 21 years of training. And Jesus was basically working together with Sunsanim all the way up until, if I'm not mistaken, like 20, uh, this was before my time. So like 2012 or 2015 or something like that, when the Holy Son revealed himself, the original
Well,
entity.
yeah. And I would say, like, to go even further with that, when we learned the Holy Sun lesson, it wasn't that one person was like missing and the other person stayed. It was like Sensi explained it once. He said that um at the time to prepare for the rapture, we just needed to know that the Holy Son of the Trinity was the one that has the power. Then there's the branch entity, but both Jesus and the Holy Son are one. So when you see Jesus, you see the Holy Son, and we're only splitting hairs, basically. So when you say Holy Son, Jesus is right there because they're one, right? You can't all of a sudden say,
Wow.
well, Jesus is no longer there anymore if they're one. You can't split what is one. So they are one together. So when you say Holy Son is there, Jesus is there. When you say Jesus, Holy Son is there. And then Jesus becomes one with Sunsim, and there's like this trinity between the Holy Son, Jesus, and Sunsim. So it was only there to separate so that we can realize, like, oh, it's, of the Trinity, it's the one from the Trinity, the Almighty, omnipotent, omniscient. But it seems like that we're the ones that kind of take it to the extreme, and then we just stop thinking about Jesus because we only think about the Holy
Mhm.
Son. So yeah, I agree with that. I just want to take it one step further, but I agree with you. You can
Mhm.
you can continue.
Yeah.
That was that was pretty much it. Like in a nutshell, I think
Mm,
we just got, maybe for lack of better terms, distracted. Like, oh, okay, we're talking about the Holy Son now. Therefore, we're focused on the Holy Son, and it kind of gets that tunnel vision kind of thing. And yeah, perhaps people were just hyper focused on one specific entity instead
mm,
of how these entities are united, as one is being the origin and one is the branch entity. And then, oh, focusing on Sunshine because he is the physical body right now, therefore it's easy to see him and connect with him, and so on and so forth. And then
mm.
Jesus might fall by the wayside because he doesn't necessarily, he doesn't literally have a body, but he has the body of Sun in him. Therefore, we look at him and focus on him instead of the entity behind
Right.
the main mission.
I think, like, if I were to speak about my generation, because I'm coming from, I was in 1998, right at the end of the first half of history. For me, I think this is just my personal experiences. I was just so excited about Sunsing, just to know this time period, that all my focus was just, come on, you got to realize who this guy is. You got to realize this history. And it was so centered on Sunsteam that it was, I think I was just too excited on that one side. Yeah, on that one side. So I think for myself, I've grown up in the former faith, you know, love Jesus all my life. But for me, I was just so excited to see the new time period come and to just wanted everyone to believe. And I think that's why the focus became too much on one side, where it should have been balanced like it is now, like exactly what Cameron was saying. What about you, Cameron? What's your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, I think the only thing I want to add on that is um I think it's the emphasis. I mean, I wouldn't even necessarily say the focus. I mean, I guess I would in some ways, but the emphasis was Holy Son, something,
Mm,
something, something. So in that way, like I think anybody who came, I mean, I came in 2014, so like anybody who came during my time and after my time, that's what we knew. That is what we were taught is,
right.
yeah, this is more like, the emissary of the New Testament. He did, teach Sunsim. So I think it was the emphasis. So this year, hearing the like Sunsim giving the messages and emphasizing Jesus once again, it it fixed my perception and
Mm,
how then I can explain it to others who were from the former faith, like myself,
mm,
in a more, a way that helps them gradually, naturally follow. So yeah, that was a big help for ministry this year.
Yeah, I think, and when I think about the message that comes out now, I think it's the same as you. Is it centers us back to where it should normally be, not too focused on one side or the other.
Yeah.
And the feeling is like this is the right way to do it. Is you have someone from the former faith, especially someone talking to people of the former faith. It should be Jesus all the way, and then it's Jesus working with Sunstein.
Right,
Jesus'
exactly.
spirit coming upon, like that is truth. That is
Yeah,
absolute. You can't take Jesus out of the equation.
yeah,
And when you see how
yeah.
much Sunstein loves Jesus, he loves Jesus to death, kind of thing, right? I'll do anything, I'll die for you, kind of thing. And I
Seriously.
think that seems like the best way in order for us to move forward with Jesus. And then this new time period is Jesus' spirit's coming back. Because
Mm-hmm.
I like the recent messages when it's like, hey, guess what? How powerful resurrection is. Resurrection just means that Jesus' spirit went up. So once you realize resurrection, that Jesus' spirit went up, you're expecting the spirit to come back, but he needs a body, right? So it's Jesus coming
Mm-hmm.
back, Jesus, 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 Jesus. But there's going to be someone he uses. And the only way you'll know is the fire, which means the word that comes from his mouth, kind of thing. So for me, I can see it being,
Yeah,
I see it being much more balanced and true, like the way we're preaching.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it helps people to not draw the wrong conclusion,
Right.
you know. Yeah,
Like
that's
Mm,
we're here worshiping a guy, like a human being, which we're
yeah.
not.
Mm-hmm. Right,
Yeah.
right,
mhm.
right.
It's really weird, I
Yeah.
think, because
There's
you guys ever had that where you're like so focused on Sunsteam and we're like, oh no, we don't worship him. But then Sunsteam did this and Sunsteam did that. Oh, Sunsteam this and Sunsteam, oh my Sunsteam, right? Where all, everything is there.
yeah.
And we're like, no, 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 we're not focused on him. It's about God. But right, and everything's just and we're just like shooting these bullets at them like crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really easy for people to be to draw conclusions if we don't word things in a very specific and directed way, which is what I learned
Right.
earlier today.
Yep,
Um,
literally
I
moments
mean,
ago.
yeah, literally right before this, we finished the Bible study. Some of the guys were giving us feedback, and they're like, "Oh, are you saying that God can't do this when such and such?" Because I was teaching Sunstop, and they're like, "It sounds like you're saying that God doesn't perform miracles, or that God only performs certain types of miracles that are in line with the laws of nature." And
Mm,
so because I because they thought I was wording it in a specific way that it meant that I was saying something else when it wasn't what I was trying to say.
right.
So yeah, the words we use are very important, and people could
Mm,
definitely be misled by that. And based on their understanding and interpretation, they're even liable to even blow it out of proportion because they're like, oh, you said this, then you must mean this.
right.
And
Agree.
that's how slant
Mm,
means.
mm,
How about
yeah.
like for this is the question when it comes because you guys just lectured and I'm someone who loves lecturing and such and I do a lot of Q&As. What would be a good answer for you for that type of question? Like, hey, are you saying this that God can't do this or God can't do that or God only listens to like what did you say after that?
Well, the first person that brought it up, I believe, yeah, what he was saying was you should be careful with your wording because it sounds like you're saying God only performs these types of, he only performs miracles that are in line with the laws of nature. And that doesn't make any sense. And then he brought up the resurrection, like God acts outside the laws of nature. And I was like, okay, well, resurrection, we could talk about that another time. I cited a couple other instances in the Bible where resurrection occurred in the New Testament and in the
Mm,
Old Testament. I'm like, yeah, physically it happens and it's possible and things like that do happen. Whereas naturally, for most occurrences, when someone dies in the body, they're dead. That's it.
right.
And so I mentioned that, and then I pushed it aside. I'm like, we could discuss the resurrection at a different lesson at a later time, because we do get into that. But then what I mentioned after that was that the laws of nature are both, there are the physical laws of nature, but then there are the spiritual laws that God has given. And then I use the Old Testament as a reference, to kind of and two scriptures from the book of Romans, talking about how God punishes people, how God does not punish people even though they sin, because they are living in ignorance. So they don't know the law that God gave in the Old Testament, but they technically go against that law, but God does not punish them because they're ignorant. So there's kind of this wiggle room. And Old Testament, there's the thou shalt and thou shalt not. If you live in congruence with that, you are blessed. If you live contrary to that, you are judged. So God operates within these laws of the spiritual world based on the law that he gives. And it's not that the word or the law is higher than God, because God is the word, therefore God is the law. So it's not that the law or the laws of nature or whatever are higher than God, but they are a representation of God. They are him, because his words are, a manifestation of himself, of his personality, his character, his purity, his righteousness, etc. So when God says thou shalt not, depending on what you do will determine how God will treat you, whether blessing or for judgment. And so I'm like, in the same way as he acts within these laws of the spiritual law of the word, God also acts within these laws of nature that are established, the law of thermodynamics, the laws of physics, laws of nature. He operates within those laws. It's not that he cannot operate outside the laws, but it is that he operates using the things in creation and within those laws to perform his miracles. Not that the miracles can't be performed at all, but he uses everything in creation to make those miracles happen in a realistic and practical manner. So that's kind of how I laid it out for that first
and also
comment.
what also helped was Mason did a lot of the reasoning side of persuasion, or like explanation,
right?
And then I supported with more of the shimjung and the heart, like, why is it that God is saying this, or why did Joshua pray for the sun to stop, right? This is what we're talking about in this lesson. Why did he do it? And so I emphasize, the situation that Joshua was in and how we find ourselves in the same situation as him. And a lot of Christians fail to really get the true lesson from this passage because they focus on this monumental way of miracles being performed, rather than God performing miracles every single day within our life. And it's not small miracles. There are miracles that truly do impact the outcome of our life, right? Yeah.
Okay, sorry guys, we just had a little bit of a technical difficulty, so we paused it for a second. So you might have seen like this cut in the video, but I like what you guys said, and I kind of explain it the same way as Mason, but I do it in just one short way, because I think one of the things that I get so many of the exact same questions as you guys, and I was thinking about, oh, this is one of the things that I usually say, and it takes about 3 minutes, right? And then it covers everything. And then the interesting thing is this: I'll go to the newcomer straight up, and I'll tell them like, imagine like we met Mason for the first time, right? Imagine you meet Mason for the first time, and then he walks into the room and he sits right next to you, right? So it's me, the newcomer, and Mason sits there, right? So Mason's my friend, and Mason turns to the newcomer and says, after this lecture is over, I'm going to lock the doors and I'm going to kill everyone, starting with you. Now, I asked the newcomers, like, what do you think? And he's like, I don't know. It's kind of scary, right? It's kind of scary. And I don't know, I don't know this guy very well. So yeah, like I'm freaking out. And then if you turn to me and said, dude, this guy your friend just told me he's going to kill me. He's going to kill all of us after this lecture. And I'll look at him and say, no, he's not going to do that. And he's like, how do you know? And the answer is, because I know him. And one of the thing that makes it really scary is because Mason can do it. Mason can kill everyone. He could. He's got the power to kill every single person, right? Anyone could. They bring in a gun, they'll kill everyone, right? You bring in a knife, you start killing everyone. Mason has the capability of killing everyone, but why would he do it or not do it, right? And the answer I gave is because I know who Mason is. And I say in the same way too with God, God is almighty, all powerful. He can do anything. But why doesn't he do everything? And the answer is because it's about whether you know God or not. If you know God, you know what he will do and what he will not do, even though he's capable and almighty, all powerful. Can God kill everyone in the world? And the answer is absolutely. He's got the power to kill everyone. But will he? And that's why we study the Bible, to figure out God's will. We need to figure out what will he do. Because almighty, all powerful means anything, and that's scary. But when you learn God's character, when you learn the word, you know, oh, it's not so much about what God can do, because God can. Just like Mason can kill everyone he sees. He can. But the bigger question is, will he? What is the will? What is Mason's will? Right? And I was thinking about that because I haven't lectured in like years. So, but I was like, oh, that's a great question because it reminds me of those questions people asked me in the past, right? But yeah, there's one of the things I would use to try to kill the question off in like couple minutes, so you don't have to go so deep into other stuff and go into other lectures. And then you know the people are like, oh, that's so true, that's what we started about, and then we kind of move on to the next portion. And I think I like Sunstop because Sunstop is one of the lessons. I'll ask this question to them because this is a second part, which is exactly what Cameron said, right? I like people are so focused on the sun stopping, but is that really what they were asking? So imagine the sun didn't stop, but Joshua lost. Would Joshua be happy? No, right? What if the sun stopped and he lost? Would he be like, oh, the sun stopped, this is such a miracle? No, he'd be upset. He wouldn't care if the sun stopped or not.
Yeah.
Right? The ultimate purpose was to win. That was it. That was the ultimate thing, right? And God is reading our hearts more than what we're saying with our lips, kind of thing. But man, I miss lecturing. I really do.
Oh,
but either way,
dude, I'm telling you, it's great.
Let's move forward, right? So now we got into this because Cameron, you brought this up, right? About what was the last thing you talked about before you were going to go further?
Before I was going to go further,
we went into this tangent because I was like, oh, before you go on, Cameron, let's talk about this first. What did we just talk about? It's because we had that break in the middle. People don't know how long that break was. Yeah. But yeah, you were talking about how evangelism was easy.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we got into this.
Yeah, because I mean, easy. I do understand. You know, evangelism is not easy, right? I understand. Interesting, but the more skilled and developed you become, it gets easier and easier. And the more you rely not on your skills, but doing it together with the Trinity, it gets easier and easier. And it's not to say,
quick interjection here. It's because you brought up about Jesus, talking about Jesus now, like focusing on that. And we went into how we asked the question about, did we go too far one way? And we didn't talk enough about Jesus. Okay, so that we got it now. All right, so go ahead and continue.
Yeah, but the more that you put in the reps, it's like working out. Like at first it's a real struggle, you're sore, and like you can't really do it 100% every single day because your body literally gives out on you. But over time you get stronger and stronger, and evangelism is a very similar process as is life. You have to really develop it. And one of the things I really realized is let the Holy Spirit use you to meet these people and give them the opportunity to change their life by receiving this word and knowing Jesus. And then from that point, I'm like, I will talk to everybody. I don't care. I'll just walk up to strangers. They're in the middle, like with headphones on. I like ignore the headphones, wave at them. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's a great thing to be, testifying and to share with people.
So what are you guys doing for evangelism right now over there?
We do a myriad of different things. I do campus ministry, like on the campus, connecting. I recently posted to an online platform called Meetup. So actually this evening we had one guy join from that, which was so nice. I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to talk to him at all. He just appeared. So that was really good. We're also doing some soccer evangelism, so that will be starting very soon.
Yeah, that's cool. And like, tell us about like how you're going evangelizing on campus right now.
Yeah, so I have been yeah, the first week of campus, went like almost every single day and evangelized for like 4 to 5 hours. I would, like, mind you, I work full time, so I'm kind of I bring my laptop with me, and it's just kind of like sitting in the corner. I'm kind of monitoring it, but like I'm meeting different people, and you know, it's a frenzy, right? There's so many people, so I'm like trying to jump out and like while people are crossing like the pavement and everything. I'm like, hey, do you have time for like a Bible study? You want to join? And I'm very direct about it because I live in Georgia. It's a southern state, Christian state, so you don't have to be indirect about Jesus. Like everybody loves Jesus, so but some people are, you know, other things. So I just say, oh, you interested in joining a men's Bible study group? And it also helps to kind of pre-select people. So
how's the success been so far?
Well, in regards to like connecting people success,
yeah,
I would say pretty good. We've had I mean, Cameron, I believe he said because we were hanging out on Saturday, I believe he said that he connected up to or got contacts from 70 people.
Ooh.
And of the 70, we've already had like about 7 or so people from that contact list. So about 10%, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Do you guys do Bible study on Zoom or do you do it in person?
Both. So
nice.
Today, I thought everyone was going to be online. There was one person that showed up to Cameron's house. So I did it from where I'm at. And on Thursdays, typically we have some people come out physically. So I'll go over to Cameron's house and we'll set up in the living room so that I'm able to see everyone online and also see the people that are there physically. So
that's cool.
It's a little bit of both, kind of.
Nice. So it's like a hybrid. You guys are doing hybrid stuff over there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And this is the first week this week, or last week was the first week?
It's been like 5 weeks now, I think. This is week
School's
5.
Been on for 5 weeks already?
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Oh,
Because
wow.
there's one person that's been consistently joining and he's learned 4 lessons. And this week he's going to learn again on Thursday. So yeah, I think 5 weeks.
Nice. But your house, like from what I know, like Cam and both you guys, isn't your house like pretty far away from campus?
I don't know how far I am from campus. I think Cameron is a little bit closer because I believe he goes to Kennesaw State University. I think that's the name of the college. But me, I haven't gone physically to campus yet because although like I've done a lot of evangelism in the past, I haven't kept up with it in recent years since COVID. So I've kind of lost the skill and the sense for it. But lecturing is still what I'm really good at. It's always been my best facet, if you will. So I just kind of stuck with it. I've stuck with keeping up with lecturing whenever I can, and just like when I listen to the message on Sunday or whatever, it's like, oh, okay, this is like this lesson, or this is like this lesson, and you can really connect any lesson with any message that comes out. You just got to be like, I guess privy to it, and that kind of thing. But yeah, I've just stuck with lecturing. And when I was coming out to Georgia too, I realized that the three of us guys that are at the church in Atlanta, there's myself, there's Cameron, and there's Aaron. And each of us excel at a different part of the evangelism platforms, right? Aaron is really good with management, right? Anyone that knows Aaron well and who has worked with him would more than likely agree that he's a really good manager. Cameron mentioned that he excels with connecting lives and bringing them to the Bible studies, and I'm really good at lecturing. And so when I realized this, I was praying about it, and I'm like, God, we need to bring all of these facets together, because that's what is needed to really get the life from the domain of death and bring him into this history.
Right.
All of those things are needed. They have to know the word well, they have to be treated well, and they have to be connected initially. And so if we all work together utilizing those individual skills, and we really develop like the tasks that are required for each of us to really help a life come into this history. And if we like really pinpoint, like, Mason's job is this, these are the things that Mason needs to do, these are the things that Cameron needs to do, and these are the things that Aaron needs to do. And when we all develop that fluid mechanism of evangelism, then it'll become like clockwork, and we're just bringing lives and connecting them really well.
What do you think is like that seems like such a blessing that you have like each person from every faucet, like to be able to have every level being taken care of. What do you guys like? What is your, because your church situation is much different than other churches because it's a smaller church, right? You might have 10 people around there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I'm new. I'm new to this one.
Oh, okay. So if you like, it's a really, really small church. So what do you guys think for yourselves when it comes to like, say, like the messages coming out for online ministry? What do you guys think? How well does that fit for you guys?
Dude, I think it fits very, very well. I don't want to say perfectly because I don't want to put my foot in my mouth on that one, but very, very well. And especially for Cameron, who's been preparing for like online ministry, and how he himself could develop that platform. He's already been working on something. Like, he's mentioned it to me a couple of times, and we've discussed it, and I believe he's talked with it with you as well. And he's just been preparing for it. And so now that the message in the direction, more or less, for Providence at this time is not only evangelism, but internet evangelism and internet ministry, I think Cameron is really prepared for it. He has this whole platform with all of the intro, intermediate, and advanced lessons. And like the platform already, it's ready to go, it's set, it's absolutely laid out perfectly. Now it's just developing and building the content in that platform. So I think that because of his efforts and his particular skill set, that we're more equipped to really launch that kind of ministry effort. But of course, there's still a work in progress. It's still a work in progress. And I think that once everything has been ironed out, and we feel comfortable with releasing it, then we will release it. And of course, we'll continually adjust as we take action after Cameron launches that particular project. But I think because of his preparations, that we're more comfortable in doing it.
What do you like for you? What is like the best for you? Like when you think about internet ministry, what do you think is the best fit for you when it comes to internet ministry?
Well, we were me, Cameron, and Aaron, in a also Chelsea, Cameron's sister, we were discussing internet ministry and how each person could do all of these different things. But for me personally, if I were to do my own thing, I think that's what you're asking. If I were to do my own kind of internet ministry, it would be revolving around either using exercise and fitness to draw in that crowd, and then also implement the word, because one thing that's really important with exercises and fitness is the mindset. So psychology and some of those things are some of those principles are things that I'm studying right now, because I'm actually studying to become a personal trainer. And so those things are discussed in the program that I am taking right now. So since it's also very important for fitness, I could just be like, I could just implement Proverbs. I'm like, hey, this is how you should think when you're doing the exercise, or this is how you should think about fitness, and just implement the word. And people don't even know. People just might think it's part of my curriculum or program or whatever, but I'm actually implementing the word. And those that are interested, I could connect them to Bible study.
What
So, yeah.
about you, Cameron? What do you think is the best for you when it comes to internet ministry? What would be the one that fits you the best? Which way would you do it?
What do you mean? Sorry, what do you mean by which way would you do it?
Yeah, which way
like
would
my
what
style.
would you do for what was your style for internet ministry? What would you do?
I don't know. I've got a couple of different ideas. I like being very direct with my style, so I would probably just use the word. But I think that's why I'm very interested in this conversation, and to get other people's kind of opinions, to really see what kind of style can trend and bring people, because I'm adaptive, I'm flexible, but yeah, it's my kind of personal style.
Okay,
When I
what
look
about
at go ahead.
what about the anime style Bible studies you were
Oh,
talking
snap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking how the 30 principles, like there's biblical themes across all these different animes, and showing like the correlation and the parallels between the two. Yeah, I think that would be really good.
That'd be kind of cool. And you just get the animes that are already out there and just showing a certain piece that it shows that like a lesson, like one of the 30 lessons or something like that, right? One of the Bible studies.
Yeah,
That's kind of cool. I
exactly.
think that would reach out to a lot of people too.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm very into like Cameron. I'm very direct. Like I'm just gonna be, hey guys, let's just study the word kind of thing. And it's just trying to figure out what the balance is of how much we're able to say rather than how much we, it's about how much we are able to say to do it in a wise way rather than just like going like full the gates of the dam have opened and all the water just rushes and kills people kind of thing, right?
I'm drowning.
Like,
Too much Jesus. Too much.
Like I'm really excited because some people said that we're supposed to have like so many people coming in the next 10 to 20 years. Like that's
1
exciting
million,
for me
right?
because that's go ahead.
1 million? Is that what he said?
Well, 1 million, he didn't say 1 million, but he just said an obscene amount of people will be coming. And I still think even if it's 100,000, for me, that's obscene. Because that's like, that's obscene amounts of people that we've never seen. Like all of a sudden we grow by 100,000. I think that would be crazy. 1 million is our goal, right? Eventually. But I don't think he said 1 million for the 10 to 20 years. He just said there are going to be so many people that you can't even imagine. And for me, that's 100,000. It's not a million. A million is like, I don't know how to,
flabbergasting.
Yeah. A million would be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do think within our, like, it's going to be in our lifetime, we're going to see this exponential growth in this history, which makes me super excited because I thought it would be beyond like after I die.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many members do we have worldwide now? Do you know?
I would say 50 to something, 50 to 60 maybe. It's hard to say because one of the ideas we got was from the protests that were happening. And then that large protest on the 20th was something like the numbers was anywhere from 30 to 50,000. Like our members, like our organizers said it was 50,000. So if that's just Korea, that's crazy because that means you get another 10 from Taiwan and Japan, which would make it 60. And then the rest of the world after that, you might add a couple thousand, maybe 1,000, 1,500, maybe 2,000 people, maybe around there. Right. So that would be like 60,000 plus if that was the case, which for me is way larger than I thought it was.
Wow.
Because I thought Korea was 25.
Wow.
But even if 50,000 were there in like for the protest, everyone didn't go, which means there'd be even more than that, right?
Yeah,
so I would say maybe 40 to 50 in Korea. And then you add 10 from Taiwan and Japan, and then we'll have an extra 1,500 or 2,000 coming from the rest of the world.
Wow.
Eesh.
So it's much, much bigger than I thought.
Mm.
Yeah. Like after that spiritual bomb that hit in March, we're thinking that like a ton of people left. Like it was so many. We're like, oh my gosh, how big? And then you see the protests, you're like, wait, that's different. It's way more than I thought.
Mm.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the protests?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
I'm going out there to march.
Yeah. We'll start a protest here and people will be like, what's even going on? And we'll just protest on behalf of Sunset.
It'll be
like,
you,
release.
Aaron, and Cameron.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, what's going
exactly.
on here? We're protesting.
We'll do the wave.
The wave with the three of us.
Well, for you, what's the most inspiring part for the protests for you guys?
The boldness to stand up for what we believe. It's just, gosh, it's so moving, and it makes you want to stand up and just profess like everything's like, yeah, that was awesome.
What do you think is like for you, if we were to have one in America, like what would you say during that time?
Gosh,
if you had a chance to testify, what would you say if like we had one in America and everyone, like hundreds of people came out and then we were able to do a protest? What would you testify about?
I think simply I would just talk about how not necessarily how Sunsanim lived his life because I wasn't there personally. So that might not hold so much weight, but I could testify about how through Sunsanim's teachings, through his words that he has learned from the Bible and from Jesus, that has changed my life. And I could talk about things that I've seen him do. And then through those things, the ways that he's changed my life and the like miraculous things that I've seen him do, I could testify. I could say how if he is able to do these things and move certain people in this way and change people's lives, why would God use such a person if they were unclean, right? Why would God be working through someone if to that degree if they were actually this malevolent and mischievous person? It wouldn't make sense. God wouldn't use someone like that. God would only use someone who's righteous and upright and who lives a noble and clean life. So it wouldn't make sense to work through someone who's like depraved in some way or another. Yeah.
What would be your like what would be the thing you talk about? Like say as if it was a miracle that you've seen with your own eyes, what would you talk about?
Dude, I'd talk about how in the one of the morning messages when Sunsin was talking about all the burned trash particles that was flying into Korea from China. There was a morning message where he was talking about that, and the particulates in the air were extremely high at that time, and people were like in Korea were walking around with face masks and everything. And that morning, he said, when people throw away trash, God will send the wind to blow the trash back at them. So right now I'm going to send, in the with the power of God, along those lines. I can't remember exactly what he said, but along the lines of I'm declaring that God will send the trash back to China. And then in that day, the particulates, there's a scale from 0 to 100, and it
Yeah.
went from like 90 something down to 8 within that same day that he said it.
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
this was like 2018 or
Right.
2019, but it
Oh, that's
was right.
nuts.
I think it was 2019 because I think it was just before or just after we went on the AP Korea tour. And he said that in the morning message. And later on, people were like blowing up the church chat room, like, oh my gosh, look at this news article. And you see it. It's like night and day from the morning, the previous day, where it was
Mm.
like really bad air quality, to the morning where Sunsonim gave that particular message. And it's totally different. Totally different. It was like 99 or 97% particulates in the air down to 8. I was like,
Wow.
this is bad.
That's
This is
crazy.
bad.
What
Yeah,
about what
it's
about you,
awesome.
Cameron? What about you? If you had a protest over there in America, what would you talk about?
Dude, my thing is Sunsim's degree of love
Uh,
is, yeah, it's unmatched because the lengths that Sunsim goes for us is um it breaks my heart because
mm,
I don't know why he loves us so much when, we don't reciprocate the love in that same way. And even right now, I even in my prayers every day, um, I just think about what something's doing for us right now in a place that's so small and it's so hot and it's cramped. He's surrounded by people and environment that how in the world is he receiving the word of a God in that place?
mm,
And not just receiving the word of God, he's not just getting 10 proverbs, he's getting 100 proverbs, and then he's writing 3 messages, and then he's giving all this word, the Holy Spirit's letters, and it takes hours to write all of that out.
mm.
And that is just one area that Sunsun pours out all of his strength and everything, and like from his bones, his body bleeds for us. um that to me is what I would scream from the top of the mountains, from the highest building in Manhattan. It's like, if you want to accuse that person of being unrighteous and being selfish and somebody who they accuse him of being, you really need to reflect and go to God, because you're saying that about somebody God is using and loves
Mm.
to that degree, that has God's heart of love. Yeah, so that's how I would do it.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, I think because like for me too, it's I see it happening in Korea and I see how bold these people are. And a lot of these people on stage, I know who they are. I'm like, wow, no masks. They're straight up like, this is who we are kind of thing. And I thought to myself, the exact same thing is like, man, imagine if it happened in America, what would we say? Like, what would we
Mm.
be able to say to people to say, hey, like, this is not what you guys think it is. Like, because I know the evidence parts is pretty easy because it's just evidence, but like how you could just testify about his character and just
Mm.
say, this is this is what I've seen in my life. I've never seen anything else but this kind of thing. So yeah, like I'm excited. I'll be heading to Korea at the end of October, so I'm excited to go. I don't know if protests will still be going on, but I am super excited just to see that fire. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mm.
that's the big thing for me. Are you guys planning to go to Korea anytime soon?
Honestly,
uh
I don't know.
don't have it in the works at the moment.
Mm, okay.
Yeah, I want to go
Yeah.
as soon as possible, but money and everything.
Yeah.
Money,
Logistics.
money.
Yeah, yeah, for me is everything I heard from everyone else who went to Korea, that made me even more excited to go visit. Like, I gotta go. I've got to go. So I bought my ticket and now I'll be heading there at the end of the month. So super, super excited about it. Yeah. But yeah, this is it's very interesting. I don't know if you guys can believe this, but we've been talking for about an hour already, so
Wait, what?
as crazy as it sounds, we've been talking for about an hour already, which is quite crazy. But yeah, we're gonna, I hope that a lot of people will be gaining a lot from this, just kind of open their hearts and their minds to think a little bit more deeper, because there is so much to discuss. Like, I want to talk about some other stuff later, like in the next topic too. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about that I want to get your opinions on also, but we're going to end this part of the conversation here, and then hopefully everyone enjoyed and gained a lot from this. All right, everyone, have an amazing and awesome day. I can't believe we went by so fast. This time went by crazy fast, but we'll see you guys again next time on the Man Cave. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.